Why are all our favourite characters those who have suffered the most? That's one thing that's always confused me, it's why our favourite characters are the ones that have endured so much pain. Are we really that messed up that suffering is the only thing that we can attach to? One standout anime in recent years, and my favourite work of fiction in the entire universe, is Ranking of Kings, and what that little guy in that show had to endure, I wouldn't wish upon a single soul. Not only was he born under unfortunate circumstances, but his entire life had been a constant lonely struggle. It might seem obvious at first, of course we love it because we get to see these characters overcome these hurdles. We like to see them work hard and against all odds to get the reward that they deserve and what they've worked so hard for. It's inspirational and it makes us look up to these characters who are strong enough to handle whatever life throws at them and still come out on top. It gives us hope to keep watching and to root for them and to cheer them on until the end of their journey when they finally achieve their goal. But what about when there's no hope? What about when there is just struggle without the reward? What about those who fight simply just to live another day? What about Berserk? There is something very unique about Berserk's storyline. Guts, the main protagonist, is aptly described as a struggler. Instead of a heroic tale of overcoming unsurmountable hurdles, we see a wanderer on the verge of sanity, struggling to live every single day of his life with no promise of relief. Whatever comfort he has provided is torn away. Whatever issue he has to deal with looms over him day by day. He is constantly pursued and tormented day and night with no way out, and all he can do is survive. He isn't all that heroic, nor is he the type to remain positive till the end like Goku. He isn't kind or caring, despite his circumstances like Boji would be. Instead, he is a product of his struggle. He is brash and arrogant and doesn't care for the well-being of others. He struggles to understand the value of a life, but he'll do everything he can to preserve his own, solely because fighting is the only thing he knows. While he certainly looks the part of an anime hero with his brooding expression and giant sword and humongous muscles, and even the stupidly spiky hair, his character doesn't reflect this image at all. Instead, Guts is an unhinged and morally questionable edgelord.
How do I look, yellow man?
You look like you're about to tell your friend not to come to school tomorrow, man.
We see a so-called Black Swordsman, cursed with the brand of sacrifice, forever being chased by demons. We see a lonely child have to kill the only person he's ever had a bond with, out of his own safety. We see a wandering bandit find comfort and even love after joining a group, only to have it ripped away from him in the most brutal way imaginable. Then, when we finally see Guts at his absolute lowest, at a point where even death would be a mercy, the anime ends. Sure, in the manga he makes more friends and even begins to warm up a bit more as a character, but still, he can never recover from the darkness that he had to endure. And even then it goes south all over again, but let's not get into that. My point is that Guts doesn't struggle in the same way that other protagonists do. He doesn't learn important lessons to become a better man. He doesn't face defeat in order to put him on the path to a satisfying victory. He doesn't get to come out on the other side. Even if things get better, Guts is traumatised, he's ruined, and there's nothing that can be done about it. The events of his life have created a monster inside of him, and no matter what bad guy he defeats or what goal he accomplishes, he'll never be free from that. Despite the quest that he's on, his struggle doesn't end. So why exactly is this tragedy so appealing to us? Why do we like to see Guts suffer? Well, it's because life is a constant struggle. We don't often get relief from a lot of things. Like a story, it doesn't follow an overarching plotline that gets wrapped up neatly at the end with a little bow. Sure, we don't struggle as much as he does, and we have a lot more relief than he does, but the only real end that we have in sight is the inevitable truth of death. We have goals we can accomplish along the way, but once those goals are accomplished, our story doesn't end. We continue to struggle until we can't anymore. Take Mike Tyson for instance. Once Mike Tyson became heavyweight champion, his story didn't end. Instead we saw a drug problem. We saw a rich man lose all his money. We saw a powerful man get knocked out. So he struggled and he climbed back up and got to a new stable point in his life. And that's when he hit the lowest point anyone can ever imagine. He had a fight scheduled with Jake Paul. No, but seriously, it's these constant ups and downs that make life what it is. There is no end point despite what we have to go through. No matter what, our story doesn't end until the tragedy of death arrives for us whenever it so desires and leaves our loved ones behind with nothing but pain. No matter how we look at it, we are all destined to be nothing more than strugglers in our life. So we might look at Guts and think, oh, thank God I don't have it that bad. But I think it's more than that. We might feel bad for him and attach to him out of pity, but I still think it's so much more than that. The single unarguable fact that I think all Berserk fans can agree on is that Guts is cool as hell. So what makes this arguably bad person so cool? Well, he might not be a hero that we can idolise, but he's an ordinary struggler that we can relate to. Despite all the hardships we face, we can never be perfectly kind like Boji can, and we can't be blissfully ignorant and brush off all our near-death experiences and unshoulderable responsibility like Goku. When we struggle, we usually become worse for it, like Guts. When we go through events which traumatise us in life, we don't look back on them like some kind of story and think, oh, the drama and the action in that part was sick. Oh, it was so hype when my best friend died and I almost turned Super Saiyan. Instead, we become anxious or depressed, or both. We develop trust issues, we become cold. Yes, for sure, we can overcome these issues, but it doesn't mean we can just forget. It doesn't mean these events haven't left their mark, or their brand. It doesn't mean we won't continue to struggle. It doesn't mean life is going to be good now. But what it does mean is that we continue. We carry on and we struggle some more because that's what life is. And, to be honest, it's kind of beautiful. Stories are how we conceptualise the world, but there's a big problem with that. We can't conceptualise life by a beginning, middle and end, only by our struggle, by our ups and downs, our moments of peace amongst the absolute chaos, our battle to do the right thing despite our trauma. We don't have stories to embark on like heroes do. Instead, we have entire lives to live. We've always been told that we're the heroes of our own stories, but we're not. We're the strugglers of a world which can seem hopeless at times. But despite that, we're still here, and that's the most heroic thing I can think of. When you have the scope of an entire life, you can't become a hero by slaying a dragon or saving a princess. Instead, we become heroes by struggling. We become heroes by hanging in there and fighting for what's right in a world full of wrong. In real life, you don't stop when you reach a goal. You stop when your time runs out. And by fighting to be good, despite everything, until you've taken your last breath, you are an absolute hero. That's what makes Berserk so special. It isn't a narrative which tells a story with a beginning, middle and end. It's a narrative that mirrors real life. A narrative that represents the truth that we have to live, that life is a constant struggle. It's why, despite Berserk showing us the most messed up things, we don't get traumatised. We don't feel repulsed and disgusted at the creator for making something so gross. Instead, we fall in love with the absolute work of art that Berserk is. For instance, I'm sure we can all agree that when watching the 1997 anime, despite the tragic state of the world, there is such a weird, peaceful and serene feeling that permeates the show. Despite the visceral and dark illustrations of the manga, we are in awe of the beauty of Miura's artwork. What we're feeling here is the beauty of real life reflected in Berserk. The moments of peace amongst the chaos which are present even in the most hopeless depiction of the world ever. Just like us, he is struggling in the constant battle of life. And the thing is, even for Guts, it's always worth it to carry on. And that's beautiful. Hello, I forgot to record an outro for this video, so I just wanted to quickly come in and post and say thank you so much for watching the video, honestly. It means so much to me that people would even click on the video in the first place, so if you have anything you want to comment, please leave it down below. If you did enjoy the video, please leave me a like, and any support that you can show the video is hugely appreciated, so thank you so much.